Hello, Holistic Chamber of Commerce family. Welcome to today's member spotlight. I am excited to have Kris Filkins here with us today, and she's going to be talking about finding your true self and purpose with hypnosis. And I mean, who's not on the giant?
Yeah, there you go.
Get started. Just a little bit about Kris. She's a certified hypnotherapist, has a background in social work, and is trained in several other healing modalities in order to help others step into their true self. So, welcome, Kris.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I've
Yeah.
watched several of these in the past, and I said, "Oh, I'd love to be part of that." So I'm so
Oh,
glad
well,
that I am.
good, good. All right, so let's just dive right in. Like that number one question that people want to know, what is it?
Well, I'll tell you what, I do a certain specific form of hypnosis, although I'm trained to do stop smoking and lose weight and things like that, or anxiety and fear. But I do mostly QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique from Dolores Cannon Institute in Arkansas. It is a very specific form of hypnosis where we actually go into a meditative state and kind of relax a little bit. And then I get in contact with a couple of your past lives and where you've been before. The number one question before going into this, every single time, almost every single time, no matter what the age group or male or female, what is my purpose here? What should I be doing? Um, and that is universal, and that's really how I got into it as well, because you get to a certain point in your life where you want to give back or you want to provide services to others. It's a stage of your lifetime, your id, ego, super ego, and all that stages of development. You're kind of done raising your kids and doing what you have to do, and then you think, what am I really supposed to be doing here? And that's what leads us in. And I actually make a list of your questions before we go into hypnosis, and we try to answer all of them, if not something from your present lifetime, but previous lifetimes all have patterns. So uh, that's the number one question. What am I supposed to be doing here?
Isn't it amazing? And it's like I wish that I was asking myself these questions when I was, 20 something years old.
I
But at that
know.
age, at that age,
Absolutely.
it's like you have a whole different mindset. But it takes, again, that midlife, not a crisis, but like
Right.
transformation, like a
Absolutely.
health scare, a divorce. I mean, something that happens
A
where
life event. A
yeah, you
life
start to
event always
question.
triggers it. Always
Yeah,
triggers it.
yeah.
With me, it was a tragedy in my, midlife. I lost a son in a tragic accident, and I knew that there was more than just here, and I wanted to contact him. So I had always been to psychics, and from 20 years. I started this journey when I was 15. So, and I'm really old now. I'm 64. So, so I've had a lot of training and a lot of experience with these things, and that's how I got into it. And when I found out there's patterns and everybody has their own deal in this lifetime, that it's based on lessons and what we're supposed to be learning while we're here and what we're supposed to be doing. So we cover all of that in a session, and it's very, very interesting for people. Especially, I get a kick out of the non-believers in previous lives and patterns. They are generally the ones that go under so fast and just start talking to me in a different language sometimes, or in a different area. But they'll tell me about their lives. I'll just ask, I'm not familiar with that language. Would you please speak English? And they'll convert it right. Their higher self just converts it right over and starts talking to me conversationally, just like you and I are having a conversation.
Mhm.
It's very, very interesting, our patterns and um, levels of learning and the lessons that we learn through each lifetime. So by the time you get to the point where you're asking what you're supposed to be doing, you really already know. You just want confirmation.
And it's a
So
matter of tapping into that place,
it
within
is
you, within
relaxation.
your subconscious that knows the answer to that.
Absolutely. Because your subconscious has been with you your entire existence from the moment you began, whether it's this lifetime. And there are some people, believe it or not, this is the first time that they are on the earth. And it's the first time that they can actually be aware that there were previous lives. And I've had people that have come back as a rock, as a fish, as a tree. They describe I always say, when we first get into the meditation, I say, I want you to look down at your feet and tell me what they look like. And they will describe tree roots growing right into the earth. So it's hard for some people to wrap their head around that they were once a rock, but trust me, it's very real. It's all recorded. Everyone gets their own recording from the beginning after they're induced into a slight meditative state, which is like a waking dream. It's just relaxation. And they tell all about, and they'll answer the questions that they've asked me to ask them prior to the meditative state. They'll answer all the questions, and all of the knowledge that you need really is inside you. It really is.
What would you say to somebody who's a little freaked out about this concept of hypnosis?
Well, I don't think a lot of people realize that you spend about 80% of your day in a hypnotic state. You know, you're almost in the theta state when you're driving. And I tell people, it's a lot like when you get in your car to go to the store, and the next thing you know, you're pulling up in front of the store and you don't remember driving there at all. You haven't had an accident. You've probably thought of a dozen other things on your way, but you consciously haven't been aware of driving your vehicle to the store. That's a hypnotic state. So is watching TV, believe it or not. If you sit down and start watching a TV program, you instantly relax into a state where you're just being entertained and you're watching it. You're watching it as entertainment. You don't have to have a lot of brain activity or interaction with the TV. You just watch it. So you're already partway there. So it's like I tell people it's kind of like having a dream while you're awake. You have night dreams and you have daydreams. It's kind of like a daydream. Mm-hmm. And it's very relaxing. I tell people you're going to feel so refreshed after this and so relaxed, and you're going to want to do it again and again and again. And I had to be hypnotized in order to do this. So I found a therapist that does the same modality, and we worked on each other. And I wanted to do it. I would have done it once a week if I could, if we lived close enough together. And I will say that this particular form is offered online and through Skype and through Zoom and through phone calls, but I will only do it face to face. I believe that the therapist has to be in the room with the person in order to watch the breathing and hear the sounds and make sure they're safely in and out of meditation or a meditative state before they leave to go home. So there are many therapists that can do it, and there's a therapist for everyone. There's plenty to go around. If you're comfortable with that, go find someone that does it. But I don't. I do face to face in my studio. So
yeah, I respect that. Yeah,
I find that very important. That it's a responsibility of the hypnotherapist to have the utmost ethical behavior and to make your clients feel safe, because there are people that want these answers to their life, but to lend over your time, because this takes about 3 hours, this type of modality. So it takes about 3 hours to turn your life over and all your secrets of your soul and everything to another person. You have to have trust or you're not going to relax. So everything is confidential. I've learned a ton of history and interesting facts from people from other lifetimes and other eras, and as far back as the times of Jesus and the time of the Vikings, and you just wouldn't believe how many times you've been here, and the stories that you can tell about things. And some are as recent as 20 years before your birth in this lifetime. You've been in a different lifetime. So you've got to trust somebody.
Sorry, I just want to say that I totally respect that you have a background in social work, and here's what I want your viewers to really understand is that you get, and this is probably why you do things in person, you get that things come up that we're not always aware are going to come up. I mean, face it, we have all experienced traumas in our life and things that, block us. And as a mental health counselor myself, I'm very wary about doing some of these things long distance when you just don't know. So I really appreciate that concept of, I'd rather be safe and be present for my clients and do it in person. And I think anybody watching this, it lends a little more credibility to what you're doing because you have that wide variety of experience. So I just wanted to throw that in there for anybody who's listening.
Yes. And I appreciate you saying that because I actually had an experience once where my client sat right up and said, I have to go to the bathroom. And it was the first time it had ever happened. So in the studio that I had an adjoining bathroom. So I walked her into the bathroom. But when this happened, she was actually going through a previous life where she was a slave that had been on a ship in the ship's hold, and the hold had crashed. I mean, the ship had crashed. So the hold had gotten flooded with water, and she had swam to the rocks. And she was looking up at a huge cliff. She told me she was a 17-year-old boy. She couldn't find work anywhere. Her parents were both killed. So she got basically trapped on this ship by a slave trader. And the ship crashed. And she was one of the only survivors. So here she is in the middle of this and sits up and says, I got to go to the bathroom. And she said the words, the bathroom. So you're still a little conscious about where you are because a bathroom wouldn't have been important in that time. She had a broken leg and she was laying on this cliff. So I walked her into the bathroom. I forgot to cover the mirror because I'd never had this happen before. She looked in the mirror and she said, who is that? I mean, it was really a traumatic moment for her. And I said, oh, that's just a lady that's here waiting to use the bathroom. And, I left her in there with the door closed and then I brought her back. She laid right back down and just continued on through the trance. But if that were to happen and someone was on the phone in another state or another country, what would have happened? I'm like, you have a responsibility to your clients to make sure they're safe because eventually she would have come out of the trance, but it might have been several hours. So you have to take them in and bring them out and make sure that they're okay to go on with their lives. And, part of this therapy is you have to make sure that they know that everything we visited prior was back then and they will be fine and they've moved where they need to move, but you're fine in this lifetime. And everything we talk about here is not going to bother you in the future when you hear the recording. That's actually one of the lines in the when you're being brought out of trance that I have to tell the clients, everything you visited was for educational purposes and curiosity, but you're going to be fine. And those people are all where they belong and where they need to be. So
how fascinating. What a great story. So because you do things in person, where are you located? Just so people know.
Yeah, I have a couple of different spots I can use. I actually have some space in a studio in Greenville, South Carolina on Woodruff Road at a place called Regenerate Wellness. It's a center that does EES, which is a new modality of energy healing where it's very fascinating. That would be another whole program. So I rent the space there. There's massage therapists there, and there's going to be it's going to be a healing center. And I rent space there. It's a private office and it has a door and it's very quiet. Or I have a spot at my home that I've done before as well. And my home is in Easley, South Carolina. So anywhere, that's comfortable for the client, closer for them to come to is where I would do it. So all they got to do is call.
All right, so South Carolina people, or if you happen to be going to South Carolina for a little vacation, stop in for a session and find your purpose.
Absolutely. And I'm able, like if someone were homebound, back when I used to do Reiki, I did traveling Reiki and I just took my massage table with me into their homes. I will travel to someone else's home if it's free of interruptions or dogs jumping on them or cats or whatever. If we had a private area, I'll go up to 50 miles, from Easley, Greenville area. If they really want, that goes into North Carolina and I'm really close to Georgia as well. There would be a traveling fee, but I'd be perfectly willing to go to a person's home if it was more comfortable for them, because it's all about the client being comfortable and feeling safe.
Mhm. Oh, that's great. That's great. All right. So we talked about what you're doing, why you're doing it, or we talked about like what it looks like to work with you. Is there anything else that you feel, is missing or that you just, want to cover before
Well,
we wrap up today?
sure. I do a lot of things. I'm trained in tarot cards and angel cards and communicating with spirit guides. I had one lady that came in that wanted some questions with from the QHHT, and we didn't have good luck. She'd been very traumatized. Trauma is a very big reason why people come to me, because trauma is locked in your brain. It's a brain injury, and I tell people, don't be embarrassed about this. This is something that happened to you it was your subconscious's way of protecting you, because your subconscious will never let anything push you over the edge. It'll only give you just so much. So coping mechanisms with trauma is to bury it. So lots of that comes out during hypnosis. But I do that. I couldn't get anywhere with her, so we did a spirit guide thing, and she was so happy to be able to meet her spirit guide, which is awesome because we have spirit guides with us all the time, and we're never alone. We just need to ask them for help. I do sound healing, sound vibrations with quartz bowls. I do drumming sessions and talking circles and communicating. It's all about communicating, and the common thread through every hypnosis and every past life is always about love. That's really why we're all here, and that's why I joined the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. It's a very loving, helpful community because we are all helping each other in one way or another. And if I can't help you, I know a lot of people I could refer you to. So, like I said, if I don't resonate with you, that's fine. There are hundreds that will resonate with me, but you may resonate with someone else that I know that I can suggest to you. And I'm perfectly willing to do that to help people get what they need. That's what it's all about, is loving each other and moving in a direction that you're comfortable in and that you feel like you're contributing to the helping others as well. That's what most people really want to do, is help others.
Mhm.
There isn't really this deep, dark side of evil alive in my world. In my world, I see people that love each other and want to help each other. And that's not to say there's not jerks out there. There are jerks, but for the most part, it really is all about loving each other and helping each other through this lifetime. And that's the way I like to tell people. Hypnosis is relaxation, and it's just one form of therapy to help you. There are lots of other forms of therapy.
That's beautiful. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you or learn more, where should we send them? I'm going to type it in the chat so people have your info.
Okay. So I do have a website. It's in its beginning stages. I'm going to work on it over this weekend to be able to log appointments on there and stuff, because I'm really not technologically adept. So somebody's going to help me with that. But my website is KrisFilkins-allthingspossible.com. And my phone number, I prefer.
Hold on, I can't.
Sorry.
All right, so Kris Filkins dash allthingspossible.com. Okay, got that. All right, and what else did you want to put in there?
By phone.
Okay.
I like people to call me and ask me about it, because there's a lot of curiosity, and I am on the official QHHT website for Dolores Cannon. So my contact information is there, as well as my cell phone is 315-778-8374. And that's the best way to contact me.
Okay, great.
315-778-8374. And it's a New York number, but I am in South Carolina. Just cell phone is way easier for me, and text. You can always text me.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you want to reach out and just have a conversation or get more information about how to work with Kris, go ahead and give her a call or a text. It's the best way. She looks forward to connecting with you and helping you find your purpose, or whatever else it is.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is that you are looking for. Thanks so much, Kris, for sharing your knowledge with us today.
Thank you for having me. I totally appreciate being here.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.